students, welcome back to my video on periodic trends and chemical reactivity. In the last few videos, I explained you about the periodic trends in certain fundamental properties like atomic and ionic radii, ionization enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity and valence. And by now, we know that the periodicity in these properties is related to the electronic configurations of elements. That is, all chemical and physical properties exhibited by elements are just the outcomes of the electronic configuration of elements. Through this video, let us explore the relationships between these fundamental properties of elements and their chemical reactivity. Now, I will explain about the chemical reactivity of elements across a period. We know that atomic and ionic radii decrease, okay? They decrease as we move from left to right across a period. Due to this, the ionization enthalpy of elements increases as we move from left to right across a period. Although there are a few exceptions in this trend. Okay, and you might have learned this through the video on ionization enthalpy. So the ionization enthalpy of elements on the extreme left in a period is the lowest. Okay, elements on the extreme left of the period have the lowest ionization enthalpy values. Also, the value of electron gain enthalpy of elements, they become highly negative as we move from left to right across a period. And note that the electron gain enthalpy of elements on the extreme right in a period is the most negative. Okay, and do note that this excludes noble gases as they have positive electron gain enthalpy values due to their completely filled shells. Okay, so this means that high chemical reactivity is observed in elements at the two extremes of the periodic table. Okay, in other words, the chemical reactivity of elements is lowest in the center of the periodic table. Clear? So what did you learn from this? The chemical reactivity of elements at the two extremes, at the extreme left and extreme right of the periodic table are the highest, and the chemical reactivity of elements at the center of the periodic table is the lowest. Now, what is the reason for the high chemical reactivity of elements on the extreme left of the periodic table? The high chemical reactivity of alkali metals, which are on the extreme left of the periodic table, is due to their ability to lose an electron to form the corresponding cation. Okay, and what is the reason for the high chemical reactivity of elements on the extreme right of the periodic table? The high chemical reactivity of halogens on the extreme right is due to their ability to gain extra electrons, leading to the formation of the corresponding anion. Okay, so alkali metals on the extreme left and halogens on the extreme right of the periodic table are highly chemically reactive. Okay, alkali metals, they readily tend to lose their outermost electron so that they may achieve octet configuration in their valence shell. Okay, and this is the reason why they are highly chemically reactive. And if you take halogens, we know halogens are just one electron short of the noble gas configuration of 8 electrons in their valence shell. Okay, so they are greatly desirous of gaining an electron in order to achieve 8 electrons in their valence shell, and that is why they exhibit greater ability to gain extra electron. Okay, and this is the reason for high chemical reactivity of halogens, which are positioned on the extreme right of the periodic table. The high chemical reactivity of alkali metals and halogens can be related to the reducing and oxidizing behavior of those elements. So alkali metals are good reducing agents and halogens are good oxidizing agents. Children, you will learn further about the oxidizing and reducing nature of elements when you learn chapter 8. Okay, So for the time being, just bear in mind that alkali metals are good reducing agents and halogens on the extreme right of the periodic table are good oxidizing agents. Okay, further details you will be learning in chapter 8. The tendency of elements to lose their electrons can be linked to their metallic character. Now look at alkali metals. Alkali metals tend to lose their outermost electron in order to achieve octet configuration in their valence shell. So alkali metals are highly metallic in their character. The metallic character of elements decrease as we move from left to right across a period. When the metallic character of elements decrease from left to right across a period, there is an increase in the non-metallic character as we move from left to right across a period. And the non-metallic character of elements can be linked to the tendency of those elements to gain electrons. Okay, now look at halogens. Halogens, they are placed in the extreme right position of the periodic table, and they have a greater tendency to gain electrons in order to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. Okay, so this tendency of elements to gain electrons can be linked to their non-metallic character. The chemical reactivity of an element can be best understood by its reactions with oxygen and halogens. In this chapter, let us consider the reaction of elements with oxygen alone. Okay, now note that elements on the two extremes of the periodic table, that is alkali metals and halogens, they easily combine with oxygen to form oxides. The oxides formed by elements on the extreme left of the periodic table are most basic. Which elements are present on the extreme left of the periodic table? Alkali metals. So alkali metals, when they combine with oxygen, give rise to basic oxides. Examples of basic oxides are sodium oxide, potassium oxide, and so on. Now the oxides formed by elements on the extreme right of the periodic table are most acidic. Okay, acidic oxides are formed when elements on the extreme right of the periodic table combine with oxygen. Some examples of acidic oxides are sulfur trioxide, dichlorine heptoxide, and so on. Now the oxides that are formed by elements in the center of the periodic table are either amphoteric oxides or neutral oxides. Example of amphoteric oxides are Al2O3, which is alumina, arsenic trioxide, and so on. Some examples of neutral oxides are carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, nitrous oxide. It is also called laughing gas, isn't it? Nitrous oxide is also called laughing gas. Okay, these are some of the examples of neutral oxides. So children, give due importance to this topic and learn which elements in the periodic table combine with oxygen to give basic oxides, acidic oxides, amphoteric oxides, and neutral oxides. You may get questions on this topic. Okay. Thus, on moving across the third period, one can find that sodium oxide is strongly basic, magnesium oxide is weakly basic, alumina is amphoteric, silicon dioxide is weakly acidic, phosphorus pentoxide is moderately acidic, sulfur trioxide is strongly acidic, and dichlorine heptoxide is very strongly acidic. So to sum up, the basic nature of oxides decreases as we move from left to right across the period. Or in other words, the acidic nature of oxides tend to increase as we move from left to right of the periodic table. Now, how do amphoteric oxides and neutral oxides behave with acids and bases? Amphoteric oxides behave as acidic oxides when they react with bases. Now, amphoteric oxides behave as basic oxides when they react with acids. Okay, neutral oxides on the other hand, they have no acidic or basic properties. So far, I have been explaining about the chemical reactivity of S and P block elements across a period. Now let's see how chemical reactivity varies in transition elements and inner transition elements. As I said earlier, the atomic radii decreases as we move from left to right across a period. This is the usual trend. But that decrease in atomic radii is less pronounced in the case of transition elements belonging to 3D series, and even less pronounced in the case of inner transition metals belonging to 4F series. They are otherwise called lanthanoids. That is because the last electron does not enter into the outermost shell of these elements. Okay, the last electron does not enter into the outermost shell of transition metals and lanthanoids. But in transition metals, it enters into the penultimate shell, and in lanthanoids, it enters into the anti-penultimate shell. Okay, therefore, their trend in atomic radii is a little bit different. So the ionization enthalpy values of the transition metals and the lanthanoids are intermediate between those of S and P block elements. As a result, they are less electropositive than group 1 and group 2 metals. And this means that they are relatively less reactive than group 1 and group 2 metals. Let me tell you about the trend observed in the chemical reactivity of elements as we move down a group. We know that the atomic and ionic radii of elements increase as we move down a group. As a result, what happens to their ionization enthalpy values? They decrease gradually as we move down a group. Clear? This is because only less amount of energy is required to remove the most loosely bound electron when the size of the atom increases. Clear? That is why the ionization enthalpy of elements decrease on moving down the group. Also, the value of electron gain enthalpy of elements become less negative on moving down the group. And we have learnt about this from the video on electron gain enthalpy. I hope so. Okay, so in representative elements, what happens to the metallic character and non-metallic character of elements as we go down a group? The metallic character of elements increases on moving down the group, and the non-metallic character of elements will obviously decrease on moving down the group. The metallic character of the representative elements can be related to their reducing character, and non-metallic character can be related to their oxidizing character. So when metallic character of representative elements increase down a group, there will be an increase in the reducing character of these elements. Now when non-metallic character of these elements decrease down a group, there will be a decrease in the oxidizing character of these elements. Clear? So with this video, we wind up chapter 3. Dear students, I thank you all for watching my video.